You will hear 5 short extracts in which people are talking about their dancing careers. For questions 19 to 23, choose from the list A to H which statement applies to each person. Use the letters only once. There are 3 extra letters which you do not need to use. You now have 30 seconds to look at part 3. Speaker 1.
I was born near Newport in Wales in 1949. I always wanted to become a dancer, even though my parents were against it, and growing up in the country at that time, well, it was thought to be very peculiar. Not a real job for a man. Everyone else wanted to play rugby. The other boys I was at school with were always making fun of me. But that just made me all the more determined. At 16, I went to the Sadler's Wells Ballet School and I became a soloist in 1975, dancing all the leading roles. Now I'm getting on, I do character parts like Widow Simone and Father Thomas. I've been made dancing master and I've been the main dancer in the company for years.
Speaker 2.
I was brought up in London, so after finishing school, I went to Sadler's Wells to learn to dance. After training, I was lucky enough to be offered a position with the Royal Northern Ballet, where I stayed for 3 years. I felt very fortunate when Sadler's Wells invited me back as a soloist. But after a knee injury, I had to give up dancing, and so I decided to study to be a choreographer. Sadler's Wells have been very kind to me, allowing me to stay on as a choreographer and tutor, and I often work as a choreographer overseas as well. I've just come back from 3 months in San Francisco.
Speaker 3.
I come from Salamanca in Spain, and I began dancing at the age of 10. At 16, I won a prize, the Prix de Lausanne, and it was like a dream come true. The prize was a scholarship to the Royal Ballet School. I can't tell you what a thrill it was to see all the international stars I admired, and to train and dance with them. I've now joined Sadler's Wells, and I hope to stay with them and build a career. In 2 years, I can become a first artist and then a soloist. But it's early days. Let's hope I don't get injured. I want to be given some leading roles soon. That's my ambition.
Speaker 4.
I'm Italian, but I came to Sadler's Wells in 1993. In 1997, I became a soloist and principal dancer in 1998. I've danced pretty much everything that's standard. Swan Lake, Sleeping Beauty, Romeo and Juliet. I really enjoy creating roles in new ballets, and I go as a guest dancer to companies abroad. I've danced all over the world. I've also enjoyed spells with the Royal Ballet and the Australian Ballet, and I won the Global Prize in 1998. I was voted Dancer of the Year in 2001.
Speaker 5.
I'm originally from Sweden. I trained in London and I joined the Festival Ballet in 1969. I became principal dancer in 1973, and I danced all over the world with the biggest companies, Zurich Ballet, the National Ballet of Washington, and the Royal Ballet, before joining Sadler's Wells in 1980. I've danced all the classic roles, but every dancer has to retire sometime. I didn't want to leave the world of ballet. I love it too much. So I've gone into administration. Some people think this must be boring, but I know I help and support the younger dancers. I'm assistant director of the company now.
Now you will hear part 3 again.
Today on Career Paths, we're going to hear from Simon Green, who took a different route to his chosen career. So Simon, tell us your story.
Well, I decided I would take a gap year when I was in my last year of secondary school. My parents wanted me to go straight to university. They were keen for me to get qualified and start on a career. But I didn't want that. I was only 18 and I knew that once I started my profession, I'd be stuck there until I retired. When I'm 65 or even 70, who knows what the law will be by then?
Was that the only reason?
No, I also felt I should get some experience of life, away from everything I'd ever known. You know, school and family. I thought that if I learnt to stand on my own 2 feet, I'd be able to cope with university better and get more out of my time there. I've heard that some students are so shocked by the changes in their lifestyle when they leave home that they give up university after only a month or 2. I didn't want to risk that happening.
How did you approach the idea once you'd decided to do it?
I borrowed lots of travel books from the library and started to think about what I wanted to do in my special year. Whenever I got stressed with my schoolwork, I would look at the program I'd made and dream of all the countries I was going to see. It kept me going and really encouraged me to work hard. It's good to have goals and aims in life. I think it gives you a purpose. Of course, all this was going to cost me money, even if I stayed in the most basic of hotels and travelled by bus or train, not by plane. So I started to look for jobs I could do on my way around the world. And that's how I finalised my tour, by going to the countries where I could get employment.
So where did you go first?
I started off in September after I got my exam results, and I went to pick fruit in France. Not very far and not very unusual, you may think, but I had a fabulous time. I met loads of other gap year students, and in just a month I brushed up my French, which proved to be useful when I got to Vietnam later in the year. Then I moved on to Greece, where I worked in a bar on an island, and then on to South Africa, where I got a job on a farm. That was amazing. I learned so much about working the land. And the animals I saw, ones I'd only ever seen in a zoo before.
Was that the end of your journey?
No, after that I travelled in the Far East as a tourist, so by the time I reached Australia I was broke. As the language was no problem, I easily found 2 jobs, working as a waiter at night and dog walking by day. When I left there, I missed my 4-legged friends. I spent the next 3 months in the United States and Brazil before coming home.
How do you think your experiences changed you?
My friends were amazed at how I changed. I'd become more confident, and I changed physically, much thinner. That was because of all the hard work I'd done, and sometimes I had been too poor to buy much food. But it had been the most amazing year of my life, and life-changing. During the year, I'd grown to love animals so much I decided to give up my plan to go to university and become a farmer. My parents were so upset at first, but now they can see I'm happier than I've ever been.
Would you recommend a gap year to others?
I don't know if what I did would suit everyone. It was a great experience, but it was very tough too. But if you're the kind of person who loves adventure and you're not afraid of hard work or getting your hands dirty, then you could find it a life-changing experience, just as I did.